Welcome one and all to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 161. I am the Angry Raccoon.
I'm the Indigenous Owl.
Bringing you the first podcast of March 2021, and boy, is this going to be quite a varied and busy podcast we have for you. Obviously, I'm joined by Owl for this one because I needed the help on this one.
Here to help.
And yeah, I think we're honestly not going to waste too much time in terms of this podcast in general. So I think we're going to cut straight to what we've been doing over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, Owl, it's been about 2 podcasts since you were last on. So let's hear what you've been up to over the last, month or so.
So pretty much last month, I've been just gaming and watching anime. I would say like for the last couple of days, I've been like watching Caddy's YouTube videos, like the long seasons he's done. So like from season 1, I've been watching it from then.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I only got up to season 5 yesterday. I was trying to watch it for like the podcast so I could talk about it, but like all of it. But I was like, oh no, I can't. I don't think I'll be able to get up to like season. I think he's got like 13 seasons. So I was like, oh no, I don't think I'll be able to reach up to that. But yeah, it's good to see like how far he's come, and he's come such a long way from like his older reviews to like what he does now. Because now his current videos are like he does like loads of games in one video now, whereas before he would do like a review on a single game. So it's just interesting to see like how much he's evolved.
Yes, it is. I just quickly mentioned with Caddy, his YouTube channel is Kardikarus. For those of you who want to like look him up, which I would highly recommend. It is very interesting because I remember I started watching him very early on, like maybe when he was about 20 videos in.
Oh wow! Okay.
So obviously I've seen like a lot of like his content and his stuff change over the years, which is quite interesting. But yeah, I'm glad you and more other people I know of are going back and like kind of watching his stuff, enjoying the older stuff and the newer stuff.
Yeah.
Because he is very good at kind of doing both like these very grounded reviews with obviously his very odd and crazy editing, kind of personality, but also is very interesting when you start getting to the more random videos he does later on where he's looking at a Peppa Pig comic.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? When he looked at a comic he made back when he was a child and stuff like that. But it is interesting. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying his content.
Yeah, I'm glad that I started watching that. I mentioned I've been watching anime. There was one series I'd like to talk about. I did mention it to you when we were playing CTR online. Soul Buster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would like to talk about that because
go ahead.
Very like it's very like not a lot of people know about this anime. We usually talk about like underrated stuff and obscure things on this podcast, so I might as well talk about it. So Soul Buster is an adaptation of the Chinese manhwa comic. Which is like written and illustrated by Bai Mao in the 14th century, and it's an adaptation of a Romance of the Three Kingdoms that is written by Luo Guanzhong. So this series came out in October 2016 and finished in December 2016, and it was produced by Studio. I cannot pronounce this for the life of me. I think it's Pyra. I'm not too sure if I said that right, but it's basically the same studio that worked on Tokyo Ghoul. And then they co-produced with a video streamer website called, I think, Yoko Tudou, which is a video streaming service in Beijing. So thoughts and plot on the series. So I'll start off with the plot. So it starts off with a boy named Son Shin who awakens from a nightmare. He is then later asked to do like homework that's due for the next day for his history class on the era of the Three Kingdoms. And to his surprise, he can't find a history book based on that era. And then like strange, obscure things start to happen to him. Like literally, next thing you know, like he's transported to this like different realm, and he's talking to this sorcerer, and the sorcerer's like, "Oh yeah, you need to take a card, and the fate lies within your hands, basically." And like Sonshin is clueless on what's going on, and the next thing you know, like his teacher, he like, if you ever like watch this series and you just look up the teacher, like he's got this really dodgy face. I don't know what it is about it. You just know he's shady from the get go, and like his teachers all just like, oh yeah, like have you not found the book of like the three kingdoms? And he's just like, no, I haven't found it. And literally he's like, but I have this card. And then the teacher knows what's going on. He's like, okay, you got a card. Oh, it looks like you've been chosen. So literally next thing you know, the teacher starts like, he summons something out of, he's got a card and he summons something out of his card, which is a general called Gien. And basically he starts attacking Son Shin. So Son Shin's like running around the library trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And then like he summons his character out of his card, and it's a basic, what's the character's name? Shuyu, I think it is. It's a woman. And I think yeah, that's pretty much like rounding up like the first episode. But like literally this like the rules of the card game, it's literally a general and a lord. So the general is basically anyone from the Three Kingdoms era, and the lord is someone from like the modern era. My thoughts on this series as a whole, I was very disappointed with it. I like the concept with it being like based around like the Three Kingdom era and stuff like that. I think it's interesting, and it being a card game, I think that's quite interesting. But like the characters were very bland and generic, especially like Son Shin, the main character. I just don't like him as a main character. He's just not memorable in any way. And like there's a character that comes later on in the anime. He's in the anime opening as well. He's got like blonde hair, but he's got the same hairstyle as Son Shin. And I thought, oh, this must be Son Shin, and he's got like a power up or something like that. But literally, at the end of the anime opening, is literally like a different character that looks like Son Shin but edgier. And I'm like, what is going on with that? And like, and also like the storytelling is not great at all. Like, it's just very like, by the time I got halfway through the series, I still didn't know what was going on. I was still baffled, and that's not good in any anime. I'm just like, usually you would know by like what episode 2 or 3 what's going on, but like I don't know, like literally by episode 8 I was still like, okay, what's going on here? And like the art style of the characters was nice, but like there were like annoying parts of the anime where like if something like an explosion was happening, say for instance, like there would be these random paint splatters that would happen every 2 minutes. So like if the character was red, say for instance, like there would be random like red paint splatters representing that character every time that character did something. And like it would be, I don't know, green paint splatters randomly appearing when something happened, and it was just like, okay, that's not necessary. And like there's another thing as well that I'd like to talk about with the textures is like when they're doing like the shadows in the anime, or to do like the shading on the characters, like it has this horrible grainy effect which is really distracting when you're watching the anime. And someone put it really well. Like it basically looked like someone got a dirty dishcloth and wiped it across the screen. That's basically the texture of what it is. I was like, that is perfectly phrased. I wanted to mention that, but literally that's it. That's all I want to talk about. That is Soulbuster. I don't recommend it. It only got 2 stars on Crunchyroll, so I don't recommend it. But yeah, that's my notes there.
Oh, that series sounds like a wild ride.
It really is, honestly.
I need to look it up just for that dirty vision that you mentioned. I was just going to say as well that when you were talking about it, it reminded me of the Fate/Grand, or however you say it, series. Yeah, with the whole like summoning, mystical figures from, I guess, the past and another world or whatever. So I honestly wonder if the Fate series is partly inspired by the original story of the was it Free Kingdom? Yeah. So that's probably, and maybe you might actually like the Fate series.
Oh, okay. I might give that a watch then.
Yeah. Soon as if you like the whole card and summoning concept, that's roughly what it is. They summon these characters to fight for them.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably give that a little watch.
Yeah. Anything else that you did over the last couple of weeks?
Oh no, that's it.
Okay. My last fortnight was a little all over the place in terms of things. The main thing I did was I finally got around to playing the game Little Nightmares, which is an awesome little, I guess, platformer horror game where you play as, I don't know, like this girl or boy, this character who you never really properly see their face of, who's running around this, it's like a floating ship, which I believe they call the Maw, like MAW.
Okay.
And you do kind of get this weird sense that there's like a bigger picture going on, but the story never tells you what exactly is going on. But there's definitely like hints and clues and all that kind of stuff going on. You definitely take in the environment. It's very grand and big. And with you are somewhat constantly being chased by some enemies. There's moments where you'll just be running around, platforming, solving puzzles, but then you'll get other creatures in there. Like there's this really weird, I forget what they call him. He's like this really, really weird figure that he's like got barely any legs, but he has like really long arms.
Okay.
And then there's like the chefs who are like these, kind of like grotesque, fat like chefs who are preparing the food for the guests. And I think most people have probably seen those characters. But and there's other characters and horrific things that happen in there. But it was honestly a really nice experience, despite it being very dark. There's lots of elements that I did like from it. Like I like the idea that it's there's barely any music in it. It's mostly a silent game. But the only time music ever really appearing is when it like is a really serious moment, or literally when you're being chased. There's almost nothing more frightening than the music just starting up because an enemy's seen you but you can't see them. And there's also another nice detail I liked was anytime you do, let's say, die in that game, you kind of just get sent back to the last checkpoint. And the interesting thing is every time you get sent back to the last checkpoint, the character, or the main character you play as, called Six, she kind of like wakes up as if what just happened, you dying, was literally a nightmare.
Right.
So that was a nice detail that I'm kind of glad they put in the game. I haven't finished the DLC yet because I haven't had time for reasons I'm about to mention. But I'm looking forward to it, and I have bought a copy of the second game, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. The other thing that happened over the last couple of weeks was the fact that, it's going to sound pretty random, but a die cutting machine dropped and fell on my big toe. Now, if you don't know what a die cutting machine is, look it up and tell me if you want that to fall on any body part, because you don't. It was pretty bad. I was in a lot of pain. I basically just had to limp myself to my room and just spend the rest of the evening laying down. My toes recovered, but I have a feeling I might lose that nail.
Ow.
Which is not great. Like, it doesn't hurt anymore, but the nail is turning black.
Oh god. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't mean to be gross, but yeah, it does bother me. And then literally the day after, like, the die cutting machine fell on my toe, I felt incredibly ill. I have no idea what I got. Don't worry, it's not COVID-19. I had like some serious stomach ache. I had a massive headache. I was like not able to do much, and I lost pretty much 2 afternoons worth of work. And the weirdest thing, which really honestly scared me, was at one point, it must have been about 10 o'clock at night, and I was trying to get some things done. I laid down for about 30 minutes. I woke up and my vision was blurry.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I couldn't get my eyes clear. I know that sounds like bad grammar, but that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
It honestly freaked me out, and I just went to bed. Because I was like, you know what? Clearly, I need some rest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a little bit worrying. But other than that, it's been a decent-ish week. Obviously, it's been hot and all that. But I guess we got to move on to the main chunk of this podcast. And I guess we're going to talk about the stuff that happened over the last fortnight. And the first thing I want to mention is the fact that during a BlizzCon, or BlizzCon 2021 live stream, famous, rock metal band Metallica did a performance to which Twitch replaced their performance music with generic music to avoid DMCA. For those of you who don't know what DMCA is, it is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which essentially allows bigger companies to essentially protect their intellectual properties. So, for example, a music artist protecting their songs if you're, let's say, using it without paying money for it, simply put. But for those of you who don't know, and I'm not going to explain the whole situation because it is an ongoing situation, what's happening with Twitch is they are being hit with these DMCA threats from the music industry, who have finally noticed, the streaming platform, because what some people do when they live stream is they play music before they actually come online, play their games, talk on that.
Yeah.
And they're essentially wanting to, profit off, Twitch and streamers, which is a bit annoying, because what that's resulted in is a ton of people essentially losing content from fear of it being taken down. So Twitch has basically done nothing and kind of just said, yeah, don't play music, and maybe like get rid of all your stream and all your content and all your worth. The same thing happened to YouTube, but at least to some extent YouTube handled it a little better, where they would just take the video down in some sense. But this is honestly, I mean, for this to happen to anyone or such a big name as Metallica, whether you like the band, whether you like metal, rock, or whatever, it's honestly upsetting to see and hear. And there is a video clip that I think is in the article, I'm linking in the description, a download link, where you see the moment where it happened. And it's honestly very surreal to watch. Like, it's honestly kind of just weird. Like, imagine watching one of your favorite artists like appear out of nowhere from something you're watching, only for them to be muted all of a sudden. Like, to some extent, it honestly feels like Twitch is like trying to disrespect Metallica to some extent.
Yeah, that's out of order.
It is out of order, but it's also worth noting that Twitch, they muted Metallica, and you could assume that Twitch didn't know about the performance. I mean, Activision didn't necessarily, or Blizzard more accurately, didn't really, feel the need to notify Twitch, because why would you need to notify Twitch about your content? You're a big enough company to have someone like Metallica play, why do you need to tell Twitch? But here's the thing. It seems like they muted the band to protect themselves, as they're pretty much happy to just screw over everyone else. Like, here's the thing. No one has any kind of help or know what's going on with the whole Twitch situation. Yet Twitch themselves clearly have the answer, and that's just to, mute the music. People can't do that on stream. People don't know what to do. And this is honestly a good example of how unprepared and terrible Twitch is. Like, did they not realize that at some point this was going to happen? You can't have people playing copyrighted music on live streams. It's like technically against the law to some extent. I'm not faulting people who have done this. I get it, because on the music industry's angle, I get it. It's a live stream, a full song is being played without royalties being paid to them. I get it. And I'm not going to fault any, person who did that, simply put. But it just goes to show how unprepared they were for this, and it's just honestly just a stupid move that they're still not doing anything about it. And ironically, at the same time, Metallica getting muted was probably the biggest news story to come from BlizzCon, 2021. No one cared about Diablo. But yes, let's moving on and staying with music, and I guess staying somewhat upsetting, and that is that Daft Punk, the electronic duo, they're breaking up after 20 years as a duo.
Man.
Yeah. Oh, there's more sad news from the world of music. One of my favorite artists are no more, but on the bright side, they ended on good terms as far as we know. They ended on a high before, they started to release like uninspired music that they, didn't really want to make. Yeah. And as icons, I think that's a fair argument. I mean, there isn't going to be an artist with such an awesome like visual style and concept.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and even if someone does try to do this, everyone's just going to say you're ripping off Daft Punk. I mean, and for those of you who don't know, like, I'm not going to go into all details of why I love Daft Punk on a visual and, audio level and all that kind of stuff. Kind of one of the key concepts behind what made them awesome, or their idea, is, that technology and music are one in the same. And that both are kind of always evolving, or both are helping each other to evolve to the same state.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame that, they're, done for now. Al, was there anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it's pretty much like just an end of an era, really. Yeah. And also, as well, I wanted to quickly ask, like, if you had to pick three favourite songs, which would be your favourite songs?
From Daft Punk?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I'm just thinking. I would probably say Face to Face.
Okay.
Oh, kind of got me on the spot there. Around the World,
Okay.
and I would say Human After All.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head, the songs I really like. But yeah, what about you?
I like Technologic.
Oh yeah.
What was the other one? Gosh, Digital Love.
Oh yeah.
And what was the other one? Oh my gosh, there was another one, but I actually forgot what it was. I had it in my head, but I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it? I think I'm gonna say, I think it is. Oh my gosh, harder. Oh gosh, I can't even get that.
Harder, better,
right.
faster, stronger.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
My top three.
Okay, cool. And I'm sure plenty of other people have their top three as well. But yeah, really sad to hear.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on with music this year. I mean, I'm just scared to mention any other artists I like on this podcast for fear of something happening.
Yeah.
Because I've had enough hurt this year.
Yeah, man.
But let's move on to news stories, and we kind of got a very interesting block mainly regarding video games.
Yep.
And so strap in, guys. This is going to be quite a varied and interesting podcast. But I believe you have the first thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So, first of all, I would like to introduce the Tekken 7. I'd like to put trailer in quotation marks. It's more of a teaser.
Mm-hmm.
It was revealing the final and last and final DLC character for Tekken 7. It was this like last Sunday. It was basically it came out early hours of the morning over here. So I think it came out like 6 a.m. over here. Luckily, I didn't stay up until 6 a.m. But I thought I'm gonna catch the trailer the next day because I'm not gonna stay up until 6 in the morning just to watch this trailer. It's still gonna be there in the next morning. So
yeah.
But basically, it's like Japanese fighting game companies had like a round table conversation on like new releases for many fighting games. The teaser only basically lasted for like 6 seconds on the character. All we know of the character is that she's from Poland and she's the prime minister fighting for the people of her country. Thoughts on the trailer? When I first saw this, I was almost livid. I was literally like, is that it? Is like, really? I was just so baffled. I was just like, was that the trailer? I had to literally watch it again. I was like, that can't be just the trailer. Surely not. And like, literally, I replayed it twice and I was like, nope. I was like, I can't believe this. Like, a lot of people like who pro play Tekken actually stayed up all hours of the night. I think there was one guy, K-Wiss, he's a Hwarang player. He streamed for 8 hours straight just to watch this teaser trailer. And I was like, I feel so bad for anyone that pro play Tekken and streamed all night just to see that 6-second trailer, like, or teaser, sorry. But I was like, I felt so bad. Like, I like the idea that they're adding like another female cast to the story, female cast to the a female character to the cast. But I feel like, and like adding more people from around the world, cool. I think that's a cool idea. But like personally, I believe that they should have added her in season 3 along with like Leroy and fucking Ram. As she is a new addition. I feel like it was a bit too like late to add a new original character to Tekken 7. I felt like, me personally, I would have either put her in season 3, or put her in the base game, or left her for Tekken 8, and then left season 4 for 2 legacy characters, hence Kunimitsu. So I was a bit like, I was really baffled to see like a new original character like introduced so late into the game. But yeah, I was just like, one little thing to add as well, like people wanted the developers to talk about like the online of the game, because online is really bad. Like, even with me personally experiencing ranks battle, like I would be in a fight with one person, they will ask for a rematch, I accept the rematch, and literally I lose connection with them. It's like, what is going on here? So they didn't talk about any improvements for online as well. So I feel like that let a lot of people down, which is like a really big shame. But yeah, that's Tekken 7 for you.
Yeah, for technically like 20 seconds, that was, a really disappointing tease in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, new characters can be hype, and kind of what you said, it's great to have more more female characters, more characters from around the world. It definitely gives Tekken a more universal kind of feel.
Yeah.
But there are other characters that I feel kind of needed to be in, or to some extent what you were saying as well, it kind of feels a bit late at the same time as well. Especially when you look at literally within roughly the same time span, Guilty Gear finally added in Ino, who's a classic character from the Guilty Gear series, as well as Street Fighter V. They're adding Dan into the game.
Oh wow! Okay.
So when you take that to comparison, character, and that's the thing with Guilty Gear. I can't remember what the new one is called. I'm sorry, but
Guilty Gear Strive.
Sorry.
Guilty Gear Strive.
Yeah. With Strive, they've had a really nice balance of brand new characters and classic characters returning.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost been like, I think they've added maybe about 5 new characters and I think 3 returning characters. Because if I remember correctly, Ino was not in the previous Exiled games.
Oh,
obviously,
okay.
she was, obviously missed, and so they brought her back. And I was like, yeah, that's how you do it. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but hopefully, maybe something will come of it. Maybe they'll do a season 5 and address issues, perhaps. I don't know, because if this is somewhat meant to be the last Tekken game, or this is meant to be like them finishing and making the perfect game, maybe there's yet to come.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's move on to the first of 3, I guess, directs that happened in between podcasts, with the first one being the Nintendo Direct for Wednesday the 17th of February 2021, and there was a lot of hype on this Direct for some reason. Really don't know why. People love to hype things up, and they love to get disappointed.
That's actually true.
I know that people go, oh man, it's the first Direct in 500 days, and they're finally going to show off Breath of the Wild 2, and it was like, no, nothing's been confirmed. That's just speculation and hope. I mean, calm down, guys. But the first thing I wanted to mention real quick was obviously the big one, and the one that makes everyone cry, and that was Super Smash Bros. Unlimited Ultimate. And that is going to be the Pyra and Mythra trailer, who have been added to Smash, and everyone was so happy to see these characters go in. Like, no complaints. Everyone universally happy that these characters went in. And of course, I am joking, because people were, as they always are, upset and disappointed with these characters going in. And to some extent, I get it. It's another anime sword fighter from a not too well received game, and I guess to some extent, to add insult to injury, Mythra and Pyra are swords, so obviously it does upset people. They're like, oh, I don't want to play as an anime sword, whatever. But then again, the same people who are getting upset about these two characters are probably the same people hyping over Sephiroth, a character that was just randomly included. Like, he didn't need to be in that game. It's just, fanboys getting hype over nothing. Plus, the only real reason I would say that I guess this did annoy me slightly was the fact that for now, this means only 2 spots are left for 2 characters to go into the game. Which means that the 3 characters I would like to see go in, one is most likely not going to go in. And those 3 being Rayman, Crash Bandicoot, and Spyro the Dragon. If it's going to be one of those 2, someone's going to get cut, unfortunately. But given Nintendo's track record and given other things, I have a feeling that we'd be lucky to even get Crash. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on things. I mean, I honestly didn't mind the trailers. I mean, I think it's a neat concept that you can switch between characters. Like, do you get it? Switch. That's the reason they went in, guys. Because you switch between characters. It all makes sense now. Al, I believe you have something you want to talk about from the Direct.
Yeah, I just briefly wanted to mention Fall Guys. I was just basically saying, I basically wanted to just mention that, like, I'm happy that, like, Fall Guys is going to the Nintendo Switch, as it's like, it just seems like a really fun family game. So, and like, the Nintendo Switch has always got like family games on there. So I'm thinking, like, yeah, I feel like it was yeah, I feel like the game just really suits the console as well. I thought it was going to stay on PlayStation, but I was really surprised to see that they were actually going to put it on Switch. But there were a few complaints, like saying, oh yeah, like Fall Guys was free on PlayStation Plus at one point, but it's just like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's a fun game. Who cares? So, yeah, that's all I wanted to mention on that.
And it's also one of those situations people say, oh, it's free on, PlayStation Plus. It's not. If you get a month's worth, it's technically £8. If you got a subscription for a year, it technically cost you £100. Like, it's not free. You paid something to receive it. It's not free. But anyway, that's just idiots. Next trailer I wanted to talk about, obviously, is going to be for No More Heroes 3. This game, finally getting to see some more gameplay of it, it definitely seems like it's going to be a mix of like the old, with you still needing to do like the odd jobs in order to get money to go and, fight, the main boss and all that kind of stuff, as well as like some new mechanics. Like, for example, they showed off the Death Glove, which kind of gives you like these really spacey, weird, like extra, ranged abilities, kind of spicing up gameplay, which is good. As well as, I think, taking elements from like Travis Strikes Again, which was the game that came out before this one, which essentially kind of references and parodies games. I don't want to spoil the concept of that game, but it pretty much is like a game within a game to some extent. And in the trailer, you do kind of see that there are some very weird things. Like, I mean, they're referencing Final Fantasy. There's like one shot where it's like a first-person horror game. No idea how the hell that's going to play into you needing to beat aliens, but I don't know. But I'm looking forward to that. This game looks insane from all angles, as well as refreshing at the same time. Like, I can't really think of another game that looks or plays like this other than Bayonetta 2. And funny, they're both on Switch, huh? But hopefully the story is great too. Obviously, it's got like this really out there story with like aliens taking over the town and that. And even the designs of the aliens are just all over the place. It looks like it's definitely going to be probably the wildest ride of this year so far. Al, you have something else you want to talk about from this direct?
Yeah, the last and final trailer I wanted to talk about was Monster Hunter Rise.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the game looks visually beautiful. I know a lot of people are very hyped for the game. I did notice the monsters, from the trailer, I did notice that the monsters, it seemed like they were coming towards the villages and attacking the villages, so I thought like, oh, that's a bit of a new, turnaround. Usually, in the older games, you would have to, go to certain areas and find the monster, but it looks like sorry, I can't even get my phrase out, but basically, now it's on a turn, so basically, the monsters are actually finding the hunters now, whereas before it was the hunters finding the monsters. And also I saw a bit where there was a new feature where now you can mount on the monsters and use them to your advantage. So you can actually, I saw a snippet of a hunter mounting on the Rajang and basically using that Rajang to attack, I think it was the Rathalos. But it was really cool to see that. I was like, oh, okay, they've really added a lot of new features to the game. But yeah, I'm excited for the fans because they really have been hyping over this game for a long time. So I'm excited for them. For sure.
I know that productivity is going to go down in Japan when this game releases. Because for those of you who don't know, whenever either a Monster Hunter or a Dragon's Quest game comes out, people are not working.
It's actually true.
I'm not going to say it's a problem, but that's what people are doing in Japan. They are playing those games. I don't know if it's the same nowadays, but I remember when Monster Hunter games and Dragon Quest games are coming out and people were just not playing. If I remember correctly, I believe there was a manga artist who was not drawing the manga because he was playing one of those games. I can't remember which one it was, but I'm pretty sure if you look it up, you'll see statistics and facts and all that kind of stuff. But it is interesting. I did enjoy that trailer. I found it very interesting because when you were saying about hunters, kind of mounting the monsters, wasn't there a shot of some character and she was almost puppeteering it?
Yeah, she was.
That's interesting. I like the twin characters, and they just get guns out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot there's guns in Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
I always have to keep reminding myself that's a thing.
Yeah.
But and I'll move on to my final trailer from the direct. And I should say as well, we're not talking about everything because we're not interested in everything. And this podcast would probably be 3 hours if we did. And we'd probably going, yeah, it looks nice. I mean, yeah. And we're not about to do that. Last one I want to talk about is Splatoon 3 and its official reveal trailer, which was a nice little surprise. And I guess technically the biggest surprise of the direct because, as I alluded to before, they didn't show off anything to do with Breath of the Wild 2. And I personally wasn't disappointed by that because I know they're working really hard on that game. Because I've heard so, and I'm just assuming they are. They're not going to mess this up. But we got Splatoon 3, and the beginning of this trailer honestly got me hype. Like, I thought it was going to be like an open world adventure game in the Splatoon universe. Like, I thought they were taking the series in a different direction, or it was going to be a spin-off. But I guess that's not the case, because it does return to its more online, third-person shooter aspect. But I honestly really hope that the beginning of this trailer is how the game starts. Because I honestly think it was like such a strong and impressionative opening. Like, no time wasted, customize your character, and off you go play the world, go explore the world. Like, literally no time wasted. Like, the whole section, like, it looked like striking, it felt atmospheric, it was a little bit like ambient, somewhat creepy, the fact that it was like, I guess, our world in a post-apocalyptic world. It was so interesting, and it was honestly a little bit charming as well, just the shot of like the little fish character giving him a hairstyle and the character just riding on the bus in the middle of nowhere, stuff like that honestly is why I think the Splatoon series is as popular as it is with a lot of people. But yeah, really like that. And real quick before we come away from Nintendo, we start to come away from Nintendo, a couple of things I also want to mention as well that I was pretty hyped about as well. So they are re-releasing the Famicom Detective games, both of them, so that's pretty awesome to see. We're getting a Ninja Gaiden collection, which is going to be on Switch and a few other platforms. The game Hades is getting a physical release on Switch, which is awesome, because I was holding out for a physical release. And finally, they showed off more gameplay and more of the concept of the game Death March Club, which is coming from the creators of Danganronpa and the Zero Escape series. Really liking the direction they're going for with this, and I'm really liking the character designs, and hopefully it is a game that kind of blends both elements and does something new. Staying with Nintendo really quickly, we have Pokemon, which celebrated its 25th anniversary. And with that, we had a couple of trailers release. Now, I'm not going to go over them because some of them were very brief. And yeah, it would just be me talking for the next 25 minutes, which we don't really want that. First thing I want to talk about is new Pokemon Snap. Going to be very brief because we've talked about this game, I think maybe 3 times now. They showed off gameplay. It's looking like a beautiful game. I'm loving the collectathon idea. I'm loving the whole idea of the story and all that, and all the mechanics they've added to it. So definitely really looking forward to this one. Next one I want to talk about is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. This is the remake of Diamond and Pearl, which were the DS games, which a lot of people really hate. So they finally remade it, and to be honest, I'm not very pleased with the way these games look. The one issue I think a lot of people are bringing up with this game is the very stylized and chibi art style of the main characters, or characters in general, on the homeworld or the map. It's way too chibi. They look too cute, and I get what they were going with, because obviously with those games, looking back, they did have a very small and flattened and stylistic style. But I think it's honestly too much of a contrast when you kind of go into the battles with your Pokemon and you're in like a fully rendered, character, and that animation looks lovely. I have no idea why they didn't go with the same approach that the previous 3DS games did, or the previous remake, which was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where you were a fully seen 3D person. I've no idea why they've gone back to that art style. It honestly baffles me, and I'm really not happy about that. The next thing I want to talk about is Pokemon Legends Arceus. I think that's how you say that Pokemon's name. This is interesting because this is finally something a lot of people have wanted for a while. A open world Pokemon game in the somewhat vein of the Pokemon Stadium games, which I know has a massive cult following, which is obviously going to take place in the past of the Diamond and Pearls games or region. They didn't show off too much, and it looks like very early footage, but the whole idea of you exploring a massive open world, which has been seen in some of the other games, and kind of just traversing it and all that kind of stuff is very interesting, and it's very promising looking. So that's the real thing to be excited about. And the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the 25 years of Pokemon celebration video they did to kind of essentially showcase the history of Pokemon over the last 25 years, which is insane to think about. Especially when you look at this trailer and you just look at how much the series has evolved over the years. And it really puts things into perspective, because when you look at some game franchises today that are coming up to their 10 years or even 15 years, how much have they really changed and evolved and expanded or shaped the industry? I can't think of too many games that people hype over that have done as much for the gaming industry and technology that Pokemon has done. Like, it's amazing, and it's a true showcase of how to properly utilize and manage a franchise, because it's insane, because obviously you've got the anime, you've got the games, you've got the cards, but then there's other things I think people didn't even know about, like the more recent, brushing your teeth mini game, or the virtual reality stuff. All this stuff is insane, and Pokemon or Nintendo are at the forefront of it, which is insane when you think about it, because look at Sony and Microsoft, how are they reinventing technology? They're not really, are they, compared to the Switch? So that's a thought. But speaking of Sony, we've got Sony's State of Play from Thursday the 25th of February 2021. Now, here's what happened. Nintendo did their Direct, and people went, oh, it's cool, some nice games. And then Sony went, how dare Nintendo do this? We got to have a State of Play. Quick, throw some things together. And that's why we have the State of Play. The biggest takeaway, I think, from the State of Play was the line, "You can really feel the suck." Which was a line said by the creative director of Crash Bandicoot 4.
Oh, damn.
Now, I don't know if he intentionally said that, knowing what that means, but it was a very odd line that when I was watching the live stream with certain people, we were cracking up about "feel the suck." Like, I don't know, there's a lot of innuendos and very cheeky jokes in Crash 4, but I don't know, I have a feeling he knew what he was saying. But yeah, I want to see that tagline on the back of the box. Yeah, Sony State of Play, I would say this was more disappointing than the Nintendo Direct, in my opinion. Yeah,
I agree.
It was like, 28 minutes long?
Yeah, basically.
It was literally, the moment it finished, it was, to quote Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons, that was it? Or no, sorry, what the hell was that? But I guess I'll go first, because I've only got two things to mention. The first thing I want to talk about is Solar Ash, which is the next game coming from the developers of Hyper Light Drifter. Now, I haven't played Hyper Light Drifter yet. I'm still trying to get my hands on a copy of it. And but this game looks like they've really nailed the style they were going for. Like this very beautiful, very specifically colored and shaded, almost polygonal like game and style in this one. And visually it's beautiful. It definitely has a very artistic and expressionistic look to it, and there's a lot of like great visuals, like for example the main character speaking to that like godlike figure that's just floating in the air, stuff like that, which is really epic. And it also reminds me of like more polygon stylized games in the modern era, and it really seems like it's going to be more of a like relaxing and atmospheric experience. I know there's combat in it, but it doesn't strike me as the kind of game that you're going to have, the heart's going to be racing as you play it. Not to imply that it's going to be like mind-numbing or anything, but it looks interesting. I'm pretty interested for this game. Al, you have something you want to talk about from the, I guess, state?
Yeah, the first game I would like to talk about is Oddworld Soulstorm.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy to see like an older game franchise return on the scene again. I played Oddworld growing up, I remember it being a very hard game to get through when, well, with the checkpoints, there were like very few and very few save points at that as well, from what I remember. The graphics, they look great. The gameplay is pretty much the same, but just on like a kind of like a bigger scale, I guess. So it's not just completely 2D. It's more kind of, there's some segments which are 3D as well.
Yeah.
I could say 2.5D.
Yeah.
Quoting Kardikarus.
Yeah, we're not going to scream though.
Huh?
We're not going to scream when we say that though.
Yeah, no, we're not going to scream. I'm just going to quote it like that. But I like there's way more things you can do in the game. So like pickpocketing items that you need for your adventure. In this game you need to use stealth a lot more. I like the fact as well that you can work with the fellow Madokans to get through the obstacles as well. There was one scene that really took a shock to me, was where like there was a quick shot where like Abe was getting a knife and cutting off the stitches he has across his lips. I was like, oh, okay, finally he's actually taking off like the stitches on his lips that he's had from the first game. I feel like now he's kind of embracing freedom now, and I feel like it was so refreshing to see that. I was like, I'm really glad. I'm excited to see the full scene and see how that takes place. Oddworld is not really like an overly hyped game, but I'm happy to see that like the developers take the time to work on the game and bring it back to this generation of gaming. I'm really happy to see that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Soulstorm has to offer.
Yes, I am as well. One thing I'll mention as well, do you know it's actually a remake of Exodus?
Is it?
Yeah, apparently it's a remake of the second game.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is where it gets confusing, because if I remember correctly, Exodus is the first game or something. I think so. I know like technically the first game is not the first game or something like that.
Oh wow, okay.
Something like that. But yeah, I believe it is a remake of Exodus, which is also regarded as the best game.
Yeah, it is.
But I would imagine, given that they pretty much own and that's another thing worth mentioning, the studio who makes the Oddworld games, they pretty much own the rights to it. But it is still nice that they are still making the games for Sony, kind of keeping it on its roots to some extent.
Yeah.
Although I think the game might be... Well, some of the games are on other platforms, but obviously given their bad history with EA, I would say it's probably best to be with Sony than anyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it should be interesting. And yeah, like you said, it is nice to see such a smaller and niche game get promoted, so heavily.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is awesome. And that's one thing I will give Sony props over Microsoft, is they at least do tend to reference and look after their franchise, as opposed to Microsoft, who would rather bury a lot of them. The last game I want to talk about is going to be Kina, the Bridge of Spirits. This is the cinematic trailer. I think this was shown a little while ago, but this is the first time we're kind of seeing more of the concept of it, as well as more of the gameplay. And honestly, this game looks like a lot of fun. It has a lot of other elements from other games, but they've clearly made it their own, which I think is a good thing, because it's fine to be like, it doesn't feel like they're ripping off anything. It feels like they're more inspired by. And I would say the two things that it reminds me of is, you have like the magic that you can use in battle, as well as like the more hand-to-hand combat or range combat, which is interesting that you can switch between the two depending on the situation, as well as also having like little characters or friends follow you. It honestly reminds me a little bit of a blend between Star Fox Adventure and Ni no Kuni.
Okay.
I know a lot of people hate Star Fox Adventurers, but boo-hoo to you. Hopefully it has like that kind of collectathon RPG aspect to it, where you might need to level up your equipment, level up your magic and that kind of stuff. And it really has a great style that is a little, first when you look at it, most people probably be reminded of like Disney or Pixar, but with its clear like Asian mythology inspiration to its world and themes, it honestly stands out on its own. It feels like its own like beast for the most part. And I'm generally interested to see what is going on in this game. Like, there was one shot in particular where I guess like some person gets like, I don't know, they get like dragged and then they become like some possessed creature or something. Like, that visually looked really cool. Like, I don't know if that's just something that's going to happen to people, but I was like, that's very well animated and very like threatening to some extent. But Al, I believe you have like the last thing to talk about with regards to video games, kind of.
Yeah. So the last trailer I would like to talk about is Sifu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like usually with like state of plays, I don't get interested in any game at all. So I was very surprised that this one actually took my interest. The game is made by a developer called Slowclap, I believe that's how you say it, who have worked on a previous game called Absolver, which is another martial arts game. Sifu is a martial arts game, just to clarify. My first initial thoughts on the trailer was that the game looks pretty impressive. Like, the gameplay really reminds me of like a beat-em-up game. It definitely looks like a lot of fun. I did take notice though with the main character, like he like slowly started aging throughout the trailer, and like it's like almost as much as like as soon as he aged, like his skills grew better and better, I felt like. So it's very interesting to see like why he ages throughout this game. I wonder if it's just a thing where, okay, maybe they're just doing it on the character's growth, or if it's a case where it's something supernatural. I'm not too sure. But like, yeah, I'm excited to see what this game has in store for us. Yeah, I'm glad to see like another beat 'em up game, to be honest.
Yeah, they're kind of making like a very, very slow comeback, because obviously we had Streets of Rage 4 come out and that did really well. I'm interested in this game as well. I the only reason I didn't include it was because I knew you were going to include it. But it is interesting. One thing I will say real quick is I love the idea of you getting beat so bad you get old.
Oh!
He got smacked so hard he grew a beard.
Oh, gosh,
but I think there was a theory I think that people have, or I don't know if it's been confirmed, but I think the reasoning why is I think it's every time you die you get older.
Oh wow, I completely saw it. It's really different.
That's not confirmed though. That's what people I think have speculated, that's what happens, is every time you die or get defeated you get older, which in turn might imply the game might get harder. Or like you said, you might get more skill from every time you die. So it is interesting. It is an interesting one, and I'd be very interested to see how it plays out. And I do love the style as well. It has like a very cel-shaded, cartoony, also once again like slightly polygonal like design to it. It's very interesting. But we're moving on to trailers now, because we've got a few to talk about. And we've got the big one, which I'm just going to let Al take this one.
So, first and foremost, I'd like to talk about the Mortal Kombat film. First of all, I'd like to talk about initially I saw the screenshots from the film before the trailer release. I was excited to see another Mortal Kombat film was in the works. The screenshots were like, the screenshots I saw of Liu Kang and Kung Lao. So initially I kind of thought, is this going to be just about those two characters? Or maybe like a Shaolin Monks kind of dedicated film. I thought, that would be interesting to see. I mean, I personally would like to see a Shaolin Monks film. That would be cool. But, of course, it is going to be a contemporary Mortal Kombat film, so it's not going to be just based on those two characters. They're not going to do that. But this film is directed by Simon McQuaid, I believe that's his name. This is his first debut making a feature-length film. So I'm very excited to see what his work will be like. Yeah. Upon watching the trailer, it first starts off with like Jax infiltrating just like this room where it's like got basically like ice spits in it. So I was like, okay, well, Sub-Zero's clearly on the scene then.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because I thought it was going to be Shinnok, because he's known for his ice abilities, right?
No, Shinnok doesn't have ice abilities.
I'm joking, obviously.
Oh, I was thinking, what? Yeah, so like Jax is introduced on the scene, and he's basically like Sonya is narrating over it, basically saying that there's like a new threat that's infiltrated the special forces and like wiped out the whole team. So Jax is like basically trying to find the new threat, quotation marks. Then I literally see like Sub-Zero come on the scene, and like this bit, I watched this bit and I was like, but basically like Sub-Zero rips off Jax's arms, and I'm like, hold on a minute. I literally, as soon as that scene happened, I clicked off the trailer because I was like, hold on a minute. I had to like come off the trailer and be like, hold on a second, but wasn't it Ermac that ripped off Jax's arms? It was not Sub-Zero. So I'm thinking, what, is Sub-Zero like the new villain now? I'm thinking, wait, Sub-Zero is not even a villain. What? I don't get that. So I think I remember briefly mentioning it to you. I remember saying it to you, Raccoon. I was like, I couldn't even watch the trailer. He was like, no, I think you should just give it a watch. And I was like, all right, fine. So I took your word for it.
Mm-hmm.
I came back to watch the trailer. I thought like literally, I was really apprehensive. I was like, oh no, I'm not too sure. But I was like, you know what? Instead of giving up, I decided to come back and watch the trailer. But I noticed, like, watching the trailer, they've introduced a new character called Cole Young, I believe that's his name.
Yeah.
And he has a birthmark on his chest, which basically, like, I think it's like his younger sister or a girl with him, basically saying, like, this is a birthmark on his chest, basically. But Jax is basically saying to him, like, oh no, basically you've been chosen to join the Mortal Kombat tournament. And you can see, like, the Earthrealm and the Forces of Light return. So you've got the characters, like, as I mentioned before, Kung Lao, Liu Kang, you've got Jax, Sonya, Kano, and Raiden, but no Johnny Cage. I was very surprised to see no Johnny Cage. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm thinking, why would you not get the film actor to be in the film? I don't get it. I don't get it, but hey-ho. Then obviously on the other side, or Outworld as you'd call it, you've got obviously, like, you've got Sub-Zero, you've got Scorpion, Melina, Shang Tsung, Reptile, and Goro. Those are the characters I saw. I'm surprised they didn't include Kitana, but then again, Melina is also a fan favourite, so I guess it makes sense why they included her over Kitana. There was one scene I did really, really like, which was when Liu Kang basically summons the fire dragon. I thought that was pretty badass. I liked the effects they did on the dragon. I thought that was cool. Just to conclude the trailer, they also had to have like a classic Sub-Zero versus Scorpion fight. It wouldn't be Mortal Kombat without one. Where they have like an intense battle and basically like not Scorpion, Sub-Zero's kind of like beating the crap out of Scorpion, and then like they have to have the classic bit where Scorpion gets his kunai chain and basically says the quote, "Get over here." Sadly, they didn't use this voice sample from the video game, which is kind of a shame, but at least they used it. A lot of people did say like Scorpion sounded very fed up when he said "get over here," which is quite funny. Maybe the actor was fed up, or they're just fed up of hearing it. I don't know, but it was quite funny. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the trailer. I think, I think it might be an okay film. I'm not going to say it's overhyped, but I feel like it's going to be an okay film overall.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one because the way I see it, if anything, the cinematography is great and the choreography so far looks good. Like, it's edited well. There's no shaky cam. You can actually see what's happening. I think these two factors will be the only highlights in the film. And I guess I gotta give it props to them for the more subtle, like, details and references. Like Sonya wearing like a green vest top. Sub-Zero having like almost like a zombie dead look to him.
Yeah.
And like Scorpion not being the yellow ninja. Which I would imagine that must have taken like a lot of restraint. Or I can honestly see people working on this film fighting Warner Brothers over that. I guarantee you, that's something they had to fight for. But then again, they kind of then went overboard with a lot of it, like, the "get over here" line, because, they just can't help themselves with these one-liners, and Kano's delivery was terrible.
Oh, what, the quote at the end of the trailer?
Yeah, that was awful. The most
people actually loved that. People were getting excited for Kano. I was like, okay. Oh.
Yeah, Kano, really the most Australian man who ever lived.
Basically.
It's an interesting trailer because, like you mentioned as well, there doesn't seem to be any Johnny Cage in this film. Yet we have a new character. Cole.
I was like, sorry, go on. Sorry, you go first.
Yeah, which is interesting. Don't really know what to make of that character because I would imagine he is going to be the one who wins Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. It's funny, some people are actually saying, he's probably going to be the new DLC of Mortal Kombat 11.
He probably will, yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously they can't release them yet.
No.
But it should be interesting. Obviously, people have theories, and we're not here to like really throw theories. But there are odd things, and we're not trying to nitpick the trailer and say it's bad because this isn't here or that isn't there. That's not really what we're about. But it was a bit odd that we have no Johnny Cage, we have a new character, and we also, for some reason, I think Noob Saibot is somewhere.
Yeah, I saw that actually. Like when I was doing like my research on the trailer, I was like, Noob Saibot's in this film? Hold on a minute, where?
Yeah, I'm like, where and why? Like, he shouldn't really have any context for existing yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what that's about. But it is interesting, this trailer. I mean, some of the shots looked nice, and some of the fighting looked great. And to kind of echo what you were saying, it does seem like they're trying to make it work as a film. And I guess my thing, the way I was looking at it, was Mortal Kombat does have like a very dated story, but it can work in the context of a film. Because simply put, Earth heroes go to another world to fight magic beings.
Yeah.
If you want to break it down to its simplest form, that's what it is. And that's fine. When that's established, you can buy into magic users and monsters. We understand we're in another world with monsters and magic. The problem is, but when Jax has robot arms, it takes away the whole idea and the believability that this is present day Earth. Like, how many humans do you know with bionic arms like that? Like, and it kind of takes away from the rest of the series and, that world being as special. I mean, I don't know if that's just me, but I kind of feel like they really should have given him, like, advanced hands instead of, like, robotic arms, because he's the only human, besides Kano that has this. And even then, what is Kano? Like, is he a cyborg? Is he a human? Is that just a prominent thing in Earthrealm? Like, it's a bit odd, and it kind of clashes a little bit. I don't really get it, but and the other thing is, I don't think the CGI looked very good.
Oh, okay.
I think there's way too much of it. Like, some of it visually looks great, obviously, with the Sub-Zero's effects look nice, but there's a few other things, like Goro looks like a cartoon character. The vague shot of like a Reptile, he looked like a cartoon character as well. It should be interesting. We didn't really see Shang Tsung too much.
No, you didn't.
I would imagine he's going to be the main villain in this, really. And which I'd imagine the after credit scene with Shao Kahn being shown.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen.
But we shall see. I mean, I'm not entirely hyped or interested in this trailer, to be honest. But it looks decent, from what I'm going to say. But then again, Warner Brothers is kind of having a rough year. And also, that's another thing as well I want to mention. Kind of got to love how this trailer actually has like a sense of like filmography, or cinematography more accurately. There's actually acting in it, there's characters, there's a story in it, and of course there's going to be a battle at the end. Compare that to Godzilla vs. King Kong. Puts into perspective how little Godzilla vs. King Kong has. Almost as if Godzilla vs. King Kong is just a cash grab. Funny that, huh? But yeah, let's move on to the next trailer. Are we done with Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay. Next trailer we're going to talk about is Disney's Cruella, which, would you like to take this one, Al?
Yeah, I'll take this one, yeah. I was just browsing on YouTube one night, and I just saw Cruella, and I was just like, oh, okay. I just clicked on the trailer because I thought, oh, okay, like I obviously know who the character is, but I haven't actually watched 101 Dalmatians. So,
okay.
But I just always remembered her. I watched like the live action films. The thing is, I didn't even watch the first live action film. I watched 102 Dalmatians, which is so weird. I didn't actually end up going back to watching 101. I don't know why. But, I decided to just click on the trailer because it did look interesting from like first glance. This film is directed by Craig Gillespie, who worked on the 2011 remake of Fright Night.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I remember that film not being that great. The main star is Emma Stone, who is in the 2018 film The Favourite and La La Land. This film seems to take place from Cruella's origins and focuses a lot on her extravagant personality. It seems like it's set in like the 1970s like punk rock era, or like maybe she's just gone for that look. But I feel like this trailer kind of entails like Cruella talking about how like she thinks differently from society. So I feel like it's going to be one of those kind of films where like the first, like literally when I first watched it, I was like I was thinking, wow, is this gonna be a Disney film? Like, oh wow, like this is quite dark. I felt like it was just, usually Disney films are very like, you know, happy and, you know, happy-go-lucky. And I'm like, when I saw this, I was like, wow, this feels really dark. But obviously it is focusing on a villain, so it is going to be dark. But I just felt like, oh, okay, I thought it was going to be a bit more like, I don't know, I guess not chirpy, that's not really the right word. But like, I just thought it just felt really, really dark, especially with the scene where like she pulls up in the car, and obviously her surname is Cruella DeVille, but obviously if you put the two words together, you know what that makes. So it's like that. It was like, I just saw that, I was like, oh, okay, pretty dark. They didn't have the space between the dare and the ville, so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. They just put it in one word for the trailer, and I kind of got like in kind of like DC Harley Quinn vibes from her in this film trailer, especially like in the scene where like her name is graffitied on the castle and it has like the neon coloring on the graffiti, and like the scene where she's like holding on to the bat. I just felt like, okay, I'm getting Harley Quinn vibes here. I feel like this film's going to be somewhat like Harley Quinn's Bird of Prey with a dash of Suicide Squad. I feel like it's going to be somewhat like that. I kind of get that vibe from it. I'm looking forward to the film, which I think, yeah, I definitely will watch this film when we can actually go to the cinema once this lockdown ends. Yeah, that's all I have to really say on the film.
Yeah, this is a really weird one because this is a very confused film, in my opinion. Like, so, like, we're supposed to follow this happy-go-lucky character who's a misunderstood genius or visionary, who's also a psychopath that we're meant to feel sorry for, yet hate because this is a prequel. Like, this film is all over the place. She's not a complex character, and they're treating her like she's a complex character. This is the makers not understanding the character and just labeling what they think she is. Because at the end of the day, Cruella DeVille, she's a possessed old woman who's not used to being told no. That's Cruella DeVille. And the fact that they have all these scenes of her where she's going, oh, I'm quirky and I'm weird, people just don't get me, and then cut to another scene of her going, I'm going to stab this woman, doesn't quite work. You need to have some kind of grounding with this character. The shot of her and she's riding the motorcycle and she's crying, I don't know what context that is, but here's the thing. If she's stabbing people, robbing banks, and graffitiing things, it's kind of a little hard to feel sorry for someone who's being told no at the end of the day, or is getting upset because her boss said, no, you can't have that fashion design in the magazine. It doesn't quite work. And also, another thing worth noting, if she's supposedly doing all these crimes and robbing banks and graffitiing her freaking name on a building, how is she getting away with this in the first film? Oh, I wonder who graffitied the building. Like, I understand she would probably have some kind of power, and I understand in the original novel and the original, I guess, animated film, you know, she was obviously, you know, trouble. She had a reputation. I get that. But it is a bit odd that they're just kind of really, really, really trying to hype up this character. Because the worst thing she realistically does in the, I guess, original film or novel is she kidnaps a bunch of dogs. That's about it. It seems kind of tepid compared to her stabbing people and vandalizing things. Kind of odd. The contrast there is a bit odd. Kind of almost seems like it's two different characters. As soon as it's the third time we've ever seen Cruella DeVille on screen, it doesn't work, in my opinion. And also, the camera work is awful. Like, where's your tripod, bro? Like, there's a couple shots where the camera is shaking. As if, like, someone... Yeah. Go back and watch that trailer.
I need to watch this trailer again.
There's a few shots, if you look very closely. I think it's the shot when she's in, like, the fashion shop or in a shop. Look at that shot. The camera is subtly moving. No idea. There's no reason for a camera to be moving like that if it's a straightforward shot. That's more of a nitpick. But at the same time, there's just a lot of shots that I don't think that work, and there's a lot of things that just don't work with this film. Like, the scene where she, like, burns her dress. Are you telling me that she had that kind of knowledge and I guess that kind of material in the 70s? Like, how does that work? How does she... nothing back in the 70s or today burns like that. That is fiction. Okay? That's silly now. I know this is a nitpick, but here's the thing. If you want me to believe that this is the same character in the other beloved films, you got to be a bit more realistic and grounded than that. And plus, I have no idea what time period this takes place in. Like, is this a prequel to the live-action film or the animated film?
That's a good point.
Because here's the thing. The animated film came out in, like, the 50s. And I think the novel came out in the 40s or the 50s.
Oh, wow.
Meaning that the prequel would have to take place in the 1920s or 30s.
No, it doesn't look like it's set in that time, though. So that's like, ooh.
Not unless they're prepared to do a remake of 101 Dalmatians again. It's all over the place. I understand Cruella de Vil's an old woman in the animated film. Yeah. And even if you want to say it's a prequel to the live-action film, the live-action film technically takes place in 1996. So yeah, things don't quite add up in my thing. It's just very messy. It seems very messy, and it looks really rushed. Like, props to Emma Stone. I think she's doing a decent job here.
Yeah.
I think, she's definitely... It looks like she's having a lot of fun in this role. And I would say that's probably the best part about this film, if anything. But, yeah, this film just comes across as really messy and really odd. Like, it seems like a film that doesn't really need... Like, do we really need the origin story of Cruella de Vil?
Not really. Nah. I was excited to see her, but I was just like, oh yeah. I was a bit like, oh, well, okay, I'll just go with the flow.
I think better stories could be told, personally. But, so we move on to the next trailer. We've got the last few ones, and we're moving into the realm of animation, of course. The first one we're going to talk about is going to be Pixar's Luca, which is a film I only recently found out about, in fact, during their little event of all the films coming out. And they didn't really show off anything until this trailer, and I am honestly loving the look of this film. It's, once again, very different. It's taking place, I think, on the edge of, Italy or an island via Italy. I'm loving just how, hot and sunny the area looks. Most of the characters are not really wearing any clothes. They're dressed for summer, which is nice. And they kind of have got that great establishing and vibe. And I guess the main twist with this film is that the two main characters that we do see on the island, they're actually sea monsters, which is obviously a pretty fun twist, I guess, especially given that no one, wants to be dealing with sea monsters, which I think is fine. That definitely threw me for a loop, and it was very surprising to see that. I was not expecting that. I was honestly expecting it to be more the case of, oh no, we can't find Jimmy or something like that, but yeah, it looks visually nice. I love the design of the characters. I love how they have very expressionistic and interesting, they have very big hands, very big noses, very big feet, It's definitely someone's style coming through. The only thing I'm really interested or slightly worried about this film is that this is a film that's essentially based on a lie, or the lie's reveal. This is essentially when a character says one thing and spends the whole film, hiding that until it eventually is found out. It's very tricky to make a film just that, and also you have to be worried, and it might be part of the pun as well, that they don't just constantly do fish out of water jokes, which it seems like they're not. The two main characters, they obviously have lived on land. They're not looking around going, ooh, what's this, what's that? They know what they're doing. But it is interesting, and I'll be interested to see how this one is received. Anything you want to say about this one, Al?
No, I haven't got much to say.
Okay, next one, we're going to move into the realm of anime, and we're going to look at the second trailer for the anime series Odd Taxi. if you're wondering why we're talking about the second trailer, that's because the first trailer just literally just shows like nothing. This is an interesting one that caught my attention because the creators aren't saying anything about this show. They're really keeping it a secret. And the basic premise of this series, as far as we know, is it seems to follow a lonely taxi driver and a girl who's gone missing. And that's it. That's all we really know about it. And in the trailer, we see a cast of characters who are kind of intertwined with this taxi driver. It definitely seems like it's going to go in a very dark direction. I would imagine this series probably exists mainly because of shows like Beastars that have, you know, anthropomorphic characters dealing with some dark subjects. How dark this series is going to get, I don't know, but it is very interesting. It honestly could be one of those like weird sleeper hit animes that come out every now and then that no one talks about for like 7 years, you know. And the last trailer rounding up this long podcast is going to be the trailer for Belle, the Dragon and the Freckled Princess. This is coming from the director. I cannot remember his name. I forgot to put his name down. This is coming from the director of Summer Wars, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Wolf Children, The Boy and the Beast, Mirai. He's also the director of the original Digimon movie, as well as, I think, the 6th One Piece film. I think we did one One Piece film. But yeah, this is his next film. This is a 30-second long trailer. We don't get a lot from this trailer, obviously.
No, you don't.
But what we do see is honestly really amazing looking. Like, this is some interesting design and animation. Like, I look at this trailer and some of the visuals. Like, there is if you look online, there is an image of just like the landscape of like this virtual world. And look at it, I can't even really comprehend what the hell it is. It's so abstract, but it's clearly a world landscape and something digital. And I don't know where he's coming with these visuals. He clearly has like an interest and obsession with, you know, the virtual world, the digital world, the internet, you know, technology. And he's obviously returning to this once again, which is interesting. Because the basic premise, as far as we know, is a girl literally ends up in the virtual world. That's all we know so far. And there's a dragon, which is like this weird, well, yeah, cloaked, silhouetted figure. Originally, when I saw this film and trailer, I thought that maybe it was going to be a modern adaptation of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It might still be. The only thing is, obviously the main character is called Belle, but obviously we have the dragon. Now I don't know if that is going to be the case, because I don't know. It is interesting. But it was interesting that they said, you know, the sub-name is The Dragon and the Freckled Princess. So I'm wondering if it is going to be a more up-to-date version of that. Obviously, the main character is called Belle as well. So it should be interesting. I'm really interested in this one and to see what's going to happen with it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone, we get a UK showing.
Yeah, I hope so.
That'd be nice, because next to the Evangelion film, this is by far one of the most detailed and impressive animated films so far this year. Not to say some of the other animated films don't look impressive, but, you know, this is honestly like some breathtaking looking visuals compared to, you know, Luca, that, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, it looks like another Disney film. But yeah, anything else you want to add?
Oh, no, nothing else.
But I know you're looking forward to Belle, though.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I did see the trailer, I was like, yeah. I was like, it didn't even need notes.
Yeah,
it didn't even need notes, it's just breathtaking, that's it.
Yes, simply put, that's all I have in my notes, actually. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be this podcast. We're going to leave you with the video of the episode, which is going to be Daft Punk with Da Funk. This is the first release song and first music video they ever released back in I can't remember, back in the 90s, 1996 I think it was, or 1998. And yeah, this is an odd music video. I don't know, have you seen this music video, Al?
No, I haven't, no.
Yeah, definitely go and watch it, because especially compared to everything you know and you've seen of Daft Punk, going back, because obviously I've made this the video episode because obviously it's nice to always go back to where it started, especially when something ended.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely go back and watch this music video and you'll be like, what is going on? Like, it's a weird and interesting music video. And
Okay.
also,
yeah.
and also the song is just still fantastic. Like, it's been 28 years and still the beat and the hook on that song still can't be matched. Like, geez. Just goes to show how far ahead these guys were and how far ahead these guys still
Yeah.
are.
I was actually going to quickly ask, did that video come out the same time as the Technologic video came out?
No, Technologic, that's on the third album.
Oh, okay.
This is from the first album.
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing I like as well, thematically, with all their albums, especially the first three, where I think the first one is called Homework, the second one is called Discovery, and the third one is called Human After All. And each one of those has, like, literally the same image, but in, like, reference to, the context of stuff.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. But, anything else you'd like to add to this podcast before we wrap it up?
I was going to say, I wanted to actually briefly mention about, like, Get Lucky from 2013 as well. Like, I just remember, like, I don't know what it was about that specific year, but music was really banging that year, and I just remember, like, that video, the Get Lucky video. I really just liked, like, Daft Punk's look in the video. I just liked the suits they were wearing. It was just really shiny. I just thought it was pretty cool. I mean, the song did get overplayed a lot, but I'll always remember that song as well.
Yeah, it was one of those songs that, like, everyone loved that song. And I think to some extent everyone still loves that song. And yeah, they definitely had a very good look, because I think the whole idea with the last album, Random Access Memories, was it was very much going back to the origins of, like, funk and house and that kind of stuff. Hence why they had, so many artists and references to that kind of music. So it kind of makes sense with that, look. But yeah, Daft Punk definitely had, like, some pretty good looks back in the day, and that. Which is funny that robots are some of the best dressed people in the music industry. But yeah, if that's everything, I'll guess I'll end this podcast like I always do by saying I was the Angry Raccoon.
I'm the Indigenous Owl.
And we will see you on the next podcast.